It doesn't look like much. A strange metal beast squatting on the runway, two engines bolted to a frame that looks like it shouldn't even fly. Its wings are straight, stubby, awkward. Its nose hides something monstrous, and when it comes alive, the sound it makes doesn't just echo, it shakes the earth. Most jets slice through the sky with elegance. This one crawls low, slow, like a predator hunting in the smoke. Soldiers say it doesn't fly, it stalks. And when its gun finally roars, the world knows. That deep, feral growl, BRRRRT, means someone on the ground just met their end. The generals called it ugly, engineers called it impossible, but for the men under fire, it became the most beautiful sound in war. The promise of survival. This is no ordinary airplane. This is the A-10 Thunderbolt E, the Warthog, the Warthog. Born from desperation, built around a gun the size of a car, and forged in the fires of doubt, it became the machine that refused to die. This is the story of how an aircraft too slow to live became too tough to kill. The birth of a purpose. The Vietnam War changed everything. In the humid jungles and the rugged hills of Southeast Asia, the US military realized something terrible. Its high-speed jet fighters weren't made for slow, precise ground attacks. Pilots in F-4 Phantoms or F-105 Thunderchiefs were moving too fast to see what they were shooting at. They couldn't loiter. They couldn't protect troops under fire. The military needed a new kind of plane. Something slow, armored, and merciless. A machine built to fly low, survive punishment, and destroy tanks with deadly accuracy. In 1967, the US Air Force began the A-10 program, a competition to design a new close air support aircraft. The requirements were brutal. It had to fly low and slow, be able to take hits from enemy fire, operate from rough, damaged runways, and carry a massive weapon that could obliterate Soviet armor. Two companies stepped up, Fairchild Republic and Northrop. Northrop offered the Ya-9, sleek, agile, but conventional. Fairchild brought something entirely different, the Ya-10, a rugged twin-engine monster that looked like no jet before it. When test pilots flew both aircraft, one thing was clear. The Ya-10 wasn't pretty, but it was unstoppable. The flying gun. At the heart of the A-10 lies one of the most terrifying weapons ever mounted on an aircraft, the GAU-8, a Avenger, a 30mm 7-barreled rotary cannon designed specifically for shredding tanks. It's over 19 feet long and weighs more than 1,800 pounds, almost as much as a Volkswagen Beetle. It can fire nearly 4,000 rounds per minute, spitting out depleted uranium shells that tear through armor like paper. In fact, the A-10 was literally built around the gun. The pilot's seat, the landing gear, even the engines were positioned to balance the massive cannon. When the gun fires, the recoil is so powerful that it slows the entire jet by a few miles per hour. And then there's the sound, that deep, unmistakable growl known to troops and enemies alike. BRRRRT. When soldiers on the ground heard it, they knew they were safe. When the enemy heard it, they knew they were doomed. Built like a flying tank. Every inch of the A-10 screams survivability. The cockpit is wrapped in a titanium bathtub, 900 pounds of armor capable of stopping 23mm shells. The fuel tanks are self-sealing in foam, lined to prevent explosions. The engines are mounted high on the fuselage, away from ground fire and designed to keep running even after taking hits. The control systems, redundant. The A-10 can fly with one engine, half a wing, and even a damaged tail. In one famous case, an A-10 pilot returned to base with one engine destroyed, hydraulic systems gone, and half the tail missing. The plane just refused to die. It wasn't fast, it wasn't pretty, but it was invincible. The skeptics and the survival. Not everyone loved the A-10. In the 1970s and 80s, the Air Force wanted speed and technology, not slow, rugged jets. Many in leadership saw the A-10 as outdated even before it entered service. They argued that modern missiles and fast jets could do the same job. But then came Operation Desert Storm in 1991. In the sands of Kuwait and Iraq, the A-10 proved them all wrong. Warthog pilots destroyed over 900 tanks, 2,000 other vehicles, and 1,200 artillery pieces, more kills than any other aircraft type in the war. They flew low, often under heavy fire, hunting armored columns with the precision of hawks. Enemy soldiers began calling them the Gray Death, because the A-10s came silently at first, and then unleashed hell. One pilot said, "When you see the tanks explode one after another, you realize this isn't a jet. It's a predator. The flying hero. Warthog pilots became legends not because of glamour or speed, but because of their willingness to fly into danger when everyone else was trying to get out. They flew low, sometimes skimming treetops, through walls of tracer fire and smoke, where one mistake could mean never coming home. But that's where the A-10 was meant to be. Its slow speed and unmatched agility turned the battlefield into its arena, allowing pilots to hit targets with surgical accuracy while keeping their eyes directly on the fight. Each mission demanded raw nerve and perfect precision. The A-10's advanced heads, up display, and rugged design let pilots linger over the battlefield for hours, circling, scanning, and striking with relentless focus. Troops on the ground knew that once they heard the deep rumble of those twin engines and the iconic BRRRRT of the 30mm cannon, help had arrived. The story of Captain Paul Johnson during the Gulf War embodies everything the Warthog stood for. Against overwhelming odds and under heavy fire, he made repeated attack runs to destroy Iraqi armor closing in on US forces. When he finally landed, his A-10 was torn apart by shrapnel, but it had survived. Because that's what the A-10 was built for, to take the hits and still come home. Beyond the desert, after the conflict in the early 1990s, the A-10 once again faced discussions about being retired. Some argued that new technology, remotely operated aircraft and advanced precision systems had made the close support aircraft outdated. There were even proposals to replace it entirely with a newer multi-role jet. But whenever real-world operations demanded precision, reliability, and presence, the A-10 returned to service. In regions with challenging landscapes, where helicopters struggled and faster jets could not stay on station long enough to assist, the A-10 proved invaluable. Its ability to fly low, remain stable, and identify small targets made it a dependable support aircraft. Even with the rise of modern targeting technology, there remains something uniquely effective about a trained pilot making decisions in real time, guiding each shot with care and accuracy. The aircraft that refused to fade, the A-10's history is not only about performance in the field, but also about its place within shifting defense priorities. Across multiple decades, new aircraft programs were proposed to take over its mission, yet each time the A-10's retirement was considered, evaluations and service feedback highlighted its continued relevance. Pilots who flew it and personnel who depended on its close support consistently emphasized its value. Discussions about retiring the aircraft often led to renewed recognition of the A-10's strengths: stability at low speeds, long loiter time, and reliable precision in complex environments. It wasn't designed to be the fastest, nor the most technologically advanced, but it was built to remain dependable, steady, and present when needed most. The legend lives on. More than 4 decades since it first roared into the skies, the A-10 Thunderbolt II, affectionately known as the Warthog, refuses to fade into history. Designed in the heat of the Cold War to stop Soviet tanks, this rugged aircraft has outlived nearly every prediction of retirement. Time and technology have changed the face of warfare, but the A-10 has adapted, receiving new avionics, precision targeting pods, and modern smart munitions that keep it deadly accurate and combat ready. In conflicts from the deserts of Iraq and Syria to the tense skies of Eastern Europe, the Warthog remains a frontline guardian. Pilots who fly it today speak of the same bond their predecessors once did, a trust that the Warthog will bring them home no matter how rough the mission. Its titanium armor, simple maintenance, and massive gall, 8 Avenger cannons still make it one of the most effective close air support aircraft ever built. But beyond its firepower, the A-10 has become something more, a legend of endurance. It represents a philosophy that values strength over sleekness, precision over prestige. While stealth fighters and drones dominate headlines, the Warthog continues to do what it was born to do: protect those on the ground. Each time its engines growl and that unmistakable BRRRT echoes across the battlefield, soldiers look up with relief, because they know the Warthog isn't just a machine. It's a promise that no one is ever truly left behind. The legacy of the flying gun. When you see an A-10 Thunderbolt IA carving slow, deliberate turns over a battlefield, you're not just watching an aircraft, you're witnessing a survivor. Born from the brutal lessons of Vietnam, where ground troops cried out for close air support that could arrive fast, hit hard, and stay low, the A-10 was never meant to be pretty. It was meant to be unstoppable. Every inch of its frame was built around one thing: the GAU, 8 Avenger cannon, a 7-barrel Gatling gun capable of shredding tanks and armored vehicles with terrifying precision. When that gun fires, the entire aircraft trembles, and Satircraft trembles. It means someone up there has their back, no matter how bad things get. And as the world moves towards stealth, automation, and distance, the A-10 remains a reminder of a different kind of warfare, one defined by grit, bravery, and direct human resolve. It's old school engineering standing defiantly in a digital age. Because sometimes the ugliest planes carry the most beautiful purpose, and when survival and victory hang in the balance, it's the ugly that wins.